Hello everyone. As promised, I'm here with my small video about how I've created my stonework in this picture. I've surprised myself really, to be honest. This paper in this book is quite thin, and after doing these flowers, which were a base of Neo 2, I thought the paper sucked up the water and the color quite quick. Most of the time I'm used to thin paper behaving quite okay with water media, and this did too, although I was a bit scared for doing larger parts with water. I wanted to play around with the colors more. So what I did do is, for the leaves and the wall and the floor, I've used gesso. It's white gesso. It's also perfect to fade out the line work a bit more. As you can see, it's quite light here on the edges. And I did also use it on the parts behind her for the clouds. And gesso makes your, with medium, your aquarelle paint or your watercolor pencils more playable. So the water, the pigment doesn't dry as quick in the paper as it did without the gesso. So I've used watercolors for the leaves, and I just played around, not making a specific motion, just enjoying the process and feeling happy that what I was creating looked nice to me. I just did some darker shades with pencil around the flowers to bring them out a little bit, and then I've used graphite pencils for those walls. I've used two colors, mountain gray and sage. So the mountain gray are the gray parts, and here and there I just added quite a bit of sage. It wasn't always that much, and I started to move the gray color first and then the sage one, and because of my motions and the gesso underneath, I got this look. And wow, I'm so happy. I really love it. It looked like a real stone to me. I was really amazed. It was the first time I think I've used graphite on gesso. And now, if you don't have these pencils, graphite are just an aquarelle pencil. The only difference with another watercolor pencil is that the colors are muted. They're quite dark. Let me see if I can grab my swatch book. It's lying behind me. I'm going to stand up. And the tripod is standing in a weird angle, so I'm almost acting like a monkey. Okay. So here are the colors of the graphite pencil. So they're all, more muted than another watercolor pencil. So this is the sage one. No, this one, sorry. This one, because I wanted, and this is the mountain gray one, because I wanted to give the stonework an old look, so that there was some greenery on it because of the weather conditions, and then I really like it. So today I'm hoping to finish this one up, and that sound, only for that sound I would use gesso in this book forever. it also makes a nice noise with only water added, but I've got a feeling that gesso makes it even more crinklier. And if you look at the back, you can see I don't have any bleed through where I've put the greenery and the stonework, but you can see a bit of bleed through with only the neo colors. So what I've done now is grabbed a book with a whip, from which I'm not sure that I'm going to finish it because I'm not really liking it, and unfortunately it's in the Terry Pratchett coloring book. I'm going to take my protective page. So I was working on this one, and yesterday evening I did the same technique. I've gessoed the stonework and I did the same technique on this part. I'm not going to color all the stones today, but yeah, it's like they're stepping. This background is quite busy, so it looks like they're stepping on real stones. So of course it will look a bit different because of the design of this drawing, but it's just the same technique that I'm going to show you as I did on the others. So I have my mountain gray, and I'm using a fair pressure. I'm just using some colors here and there. Just where you think you want more darker parts and where you want your greenery. Okay, and now I'm adding the sage, and this is lighter handed. And the clue to make it look more realistic, because after coloring it in, it's not that realistic yet, I will show, is that I've added details between. It was also drawn in this picture that there were lines here, and I did the same with these stones. I added extra pencil work and then they came to life. I still have to do it here, and I just used my sage to make them more. I'm sitting too far away from the camera, so I can't see the lines here quite good, but just by adding some extra lines, they become real. So if you don't have the graphited pencils, just play around with some colors of your other watercolor pencils, or I think it's maybe possible with watercolor paint. I haven't tried that out, but I think if you just put on a small bit of dark color and a bit of greenery here and start mixing it around, maybe it will work too. It's more difficult, I think, but it's always possible to try. So here we go. I'm starting, and I'm not making any special, I'm just making circles, and I'm going here and there and up, walk in the park, and I leave it like it is. Nothing too crazy, just mixing those colors. So because of the gesso, I still have time to make some extra moves. Without gesso, it would be sucked up immediately. And I must say I've used 2 layers of gesso on this one. So you can see the line work is faded out. So if you want, in some coloring books, like for example Hannah Carlson, you want less specific line work, use white gesso. This one is from my discount shop. I've paid it 2 or 3 euros for this bottle of 500 milliliters. It's doing a fantastic job. So voila, the stonework. So if this dries up, I'm going to add some color here. So you see, I can still move my pigment around. It's still wet. So you have to wait quite a while to do your line work. But it's fun. It's really fun. And if you want to add some extra pigment on the way, just dip a bit from your pencil and add it. And as you can see, the sage has a whole another color than when coloring in, and that's fun too because you get extra accents. And now I'm going to use it here also for some extra details, more brown details. And as I'm going over these stones, the pigment becomes movable again. I'm not doing too crazy things, but look, I'm going to show it here. You see? It's becoming lighter. Same with this part. So you can still play around if you've colored this page in, and after a night of sleep you think, I'm just not that happy with with how I've colored this. Now I've added too much of that brown. Okay, that's better. Then it's possible to move it around. I did this last night, so more than 8 hours, I think, that it had time to dry, and yet I can play around. So that's also a nice effect the gesso has. And now I'm adding a bit more of that gray here and there. And so once these are dried up, I can add my pencil work in between, like I did here and there, and that they're becoming more stones. So as you can see, I don't have that much to do to this picture, but I'm not sure if I will be finishing it. I'm only liking him, and it's because of him that I discovered that I was working with a wrong brush in my past pictures, although not a wrong brush, but yeah, this little small kuretake works better with watercolor, so I have to thank this guy for it. He's only Albrecht Dürer, no shading, just Albrecht Dürer. His face is of course pencil. And I don't know what happened here, but here I have a line. It's also possible that it's gesso. Sometimes it can leave some harder lines like here, and then it's more difficult to keep playing around, but it's not a big deal because it can be seen as a shadow. I'm going to zoom you in a bit so that you have a decent look. And I'm going to color in some extras so that you can see it zoomed in, but that's how it's done. Just adding some gray here, some gray there. Some of that sage color. So just mixing everything together. Okay, time to dry. So that's how it's done. So believe me, if it's dried up and you're adding some extra pencil details to make the stones really come to life again. Sorry for the bump. I'm going to zoom out because now we have quite a weird look. I have too much white here, so I'm going to play around a bit more here. I'm going to add some extra round details here and there. Okay. So I'm going to compare the two. So it looks different, of course, than it does on the wall a bit because of the other shape, but it's the same technique. Only I didn't use extra sage on here for brown accents. I did on this page, but that's how it's done. So the main thing you have to use is gesso. Other than that, you can play around with your wet medium, and as I've shown just a few minutes ago, even after 8 hours of drying time, you can still reactivate the watercolor. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video and that you like the effect, and I hope you will have lots of fun trying and playing around. And I wish you all a very happy Easter. Today it's Sunday and it's Easter, so happy Easter to you all, and we will see each other soon for a next video. Take care everyone, bye.